I still remember that day clearly. The sun was high, burning hot, and the village square was full of noise, people talking, laughing, and the sound of coins clinking as traders sold their goods. But my hands were empty. I had worked since morning, carrying heavy bags of grain for the traders. My back ached, my feet were covered in dust, and sweat ran down my face. All that hard work, and I had only earned a few small coins. I was about to leave when I saw Obi. Obi was the son of Chief Noji, the richest man in our village. He sat under a big mango tree, his legs stretched out, drinking cold palm wine and eating roasted meat. His clothes were clean, his sandals were new, and his skin looked fresh like he had just taken a long bath. He had not lifted a single thing all day, yet the traders came to him, smiling, bowing, and handing him gifts, yams, kola nuts, even money. I frowned. Something didn't seem right. Why are they giving him things for free? I whispered to my friend Chaik, who stood beside me. Chaik chuckled. Because his father is rich. They want his favor. His answer made no sense to me. The traders were already rich. They had full bags of rice, baskets of fish, and plenty of goods to sell. Why would they give things away to someone who already had more than enough? I looked down at my own coins. If I wanted to eat, I had to spend money. If I wanted new sandals, I had to save for weeks. But Obi. He didn't even need to ask, and people just handed him more than he could finish. As the day went on, I saw it happen again and again. A man selling oranges walked past, carrying a heavy basket on his head. He stopped in front of Obi and smiled. "Young master, have some fresh oranges," he said, placing 3 big ones on the table in front of Obi. Obi nodded, picked one up, and bit into it without saying a word. He didn't pay. He didn't even say thank you. A few minutes later, a woman selling roasted groundnuts passed by. She did the same, poured a handful into Obi's palm and walked away. Nobody asked him for money. Nobody even seemed to expect him to pay. It made my chest feel tight. Then, something happened that made me even angrier. An old woman, Mama Uche, came to one of the traders. She was weak and tired, her wrapper faded from years of washing. She held out her hands and spoke softly, "Please, I only need a little rice. My children have not eaten since yesterday." The trader shook his head. "No credit, Mama Uche. If you have no money, I cannot help." She looked down, her shoulders shaking. After a moment, she turned and walked away, empty-handed. At the same time, Obi laughed loudly and threw away half of his roasted meat. "I'm full," he said, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. My fist clenched. Mama Uche had nothing, yet nobody helped her. Obi had more than enough, yet people gave him even more. I felt something inside me break. It was like a secret I had never noticed before was suddenly in front of me, clear as day. It didn't matter how hard you worked. It didn't matter how hungry you were. Some people just had more, and some had nothing. That night, I lay on my mat, staring at the roof. The question kept turning in my mind. Why was life like this? Why did some people struggle every single day, while others had everything handed to them? I didn't know the answer. But I was going to find out. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about what I saw. I wanted to understand why things were the way they were. So, after helping my mother fetch water, I went to visit my uncle, Papa Ikena. He was the oldest man in our family, and he always had answers. He had seen many seasons, and he understood the ways of the world. I found him sitting outside his hut, carving a small wooden stool. His hands were rough from years of work, but his cuts were smooth and careful. "Uncle," I said, sitting beside him. "Can I ask you something?" He didn't stop carving. "Go ahead, my son." I took a deep breath. Why do some people have too much while others have nothing? Papa Ikena's knife paused for a moment. Then he sighed and wiped sweat from his forehead. "You saw something yesterday, didn't you?" I nodded. I saw Obi getting free things while Mama Uche was turned away with nothing. He placed his carving tool down and looked at me. His eyes were old but sharp. This is not new, kin. The world has always been like this. The rich get richer, and the poor struggle. It is like a tall wall built long ago. The ones inside have everything, and the ones outside fight over scraps. I frowned. But why don't the ones inside the wall help the ones outside? Papa Ekene gave a small, tired smile. Some do. But the wall is strong. Even when a poor man works hard, he is still outside the wall. And the ones inside, they don't just have money. They have power, connections, and knowledge passed down from their fathers. I thought about my own father. He worked hard every day, lifting, carrying, sweating. But we still had to count our coins before every meal. Meanwhile, Obi's wealth wasn't even his own, he was simply born into it. Papa Ekene continued, when someone like Obi receives gifts, it's not because he worked for them. It's because people believe his father's power might help them one day. That is how the rich stay rich. I clenched my fist. So what happens to people like me? People outside the wall. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Some climb over. Some break through. But many spend their whole lives knocking, waiting for a door that never opens. I stared at the ground, my mind racing. I had always believed that if I worked hard, I would have a good life. But now, I wasn't so sure. I looked up at my uncle again. Is there no way to break the wall? Papa Ekene chuckled softly. It is not easy, kin. You see, wealth is like a tree. A rich man's tree is already big, with strong roots and wide branches. Even when the season is bad, he still has enough fruit to eat. A poor man, however, starts with only a seed. He must plant it, water it, and wait many years before it grows. And sometimes, before his tree even has fruit, a storm comes and knocks it down. His words made my chest feel heavy. I thought about my mother, waking up before sunrise to cook and sell food in the market. I thought about my father, working long hours under the sun. No matter how hard they tried, we were still struggling. And then I thought about Obi, sitting under the mango tree, eating and drinking without a care. Life was not fair. But then, Papa Ekene's voice softened. That does not mean you should give up. I looked at him. But how can I climb the wall if it is so high? He smiled. Some people climb by learning, understanding how money works, how the rich think. Some climb by using their skills to build something valuable. And some climb by finding others outside the wall and working together. The wall is strong, yes. But it is not unbreakable. His words gave me a small spark of hope. Maybe I couldn't change the world today. Maybe I couldn't make the wall disappear. But I could find a way to climb. That evening, as I walked back home, I watched the village differently. I saw the people carrying loads on their heads, the traders counting their coins, the children chasing each other with laughter. I saw the rich sitting in their big houses, watching the world from their windows. And I knew, this was not just about hard work. It was about something bigger. Something deeper. That was the day I learned the truth. That was the day I understood wealth inequality.